Welcome to HomeKit 5. I'm Josh.
I'm Brayden.
This week we're going to talk about Yeelight, Legrand, and Amazon.
Yeah.
It's always a fun week when Amazon makes our HomeKit list.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's dive into the show. So Yeelight is releasing an updated Pro Bluetooth Mesh Hub. So it's not entirely clear to me. I think you have to use the hub. You have to use the Mesh Hub as a hub device, as a gateway device in HomeKit. But it's not clear that everything that they have in their S line is going to be supported in HomeKit with this new hub. So we do know for sure the S20 light strip's going to be there. It looks like they've got a motion sensor and a contact sensor, which will also work with mesh. But it's not clear if some of their other products in the M20 line are going to necessarily work with this. So it's interesting. I don't think we have a price on the new hub yet either. But, the article does note that it's kind of weird that they went with Bluetooth mesh, given how prevalent Thread is and where kind of Matter is going and everything. So I do wonder if they're going to somehow try to expose the gateway to Matter somehow with Bluetooth mesh. I don't know. I find this an odd choice. I could at least see going with Zigbee 3, but Bluetooth mesh is an odd choice to me.
Yeah. I could understand that from the standpoint of before Apple pushed for the HomePod Mini, because the article notes that that's where Nanoleaf was going. They were going in the Bluetooth mesh direction until Apple was like, hey, we're going to use Thread in our new hub. And they were like, well, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so. I find that interesting. And I think, the Thread chip itself, it doesn't, it offers you the ability to, connect in different ways. It doesn't just have to be the Thread network. The chip itself can offer other ways for connectivity to happen, which is kind of interesting as well. I don't know. I guess we'll see when more details come out, the price and everything. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Legrand. Again. Yeah, so this builds upon what we talked about last week. They have come out with some more products, including Zigbee 3.0 hub that sits in an electrical box, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So it sits where a switch would, but it's not a switch.
Yeah. I do wonder if that's a motion sensor or something, because it almost feels like a motion sensor.
Yeah. It has a very interesting surface to it.
Yeah. It bubbles out and is refractional. I don't know how else to describe that.
Yeah. Then they have two switches. Well, two variations of switches. They have both wired and wireless. Just your normal rocker and then a rocker with a dimmer. Mm-hmm. And then they have a dual outlet that you would use in place of a normal one. And then alongside the dimmer plug, they have just a normal smart plug that you can plug into a normal outlet.
Yeah. I find it interesting, the smart dimmer plug leaked out, but the rest of this didn't leak out last week.
Yeah.
And now we're getting the full look at everything. They also have the wireless, see how it's got no back there? Mm-hmm. That looks pretty cool. It reminds me a lot of the Pico remote that you can basically install in an empty kind of box, electrical box for Lutron. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. The other nice thing is, with this being Zigbee 3, I don't think you have to. It's kind of nice because you don't have to use up your Wi-Fi for these devices.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then, did you see the wireless dual outlet? I'm just kidding.
I'm like, hold on, wait, how would that work?
It's Qi charging. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, they're also working on a scene control switch that they're gonna try to release later this year. So this is some exciting stuff, I think.
Yeah.
And they are releasing it in the U.S. It'll be branded Smart Gateway with Netatmo. So they're gonna use their smart home branding here. But a lot of these pictures, it looks like it says Legrand on the Switch. So I find that interesting because they're going to call it with Netatmo. I don't know. Maybe these are just pictures of like the European versions or something.
Potentially.
Yeah. All right. Our last story, Amazon adds AirPlay 2 and HomeKit to Toshiba and Insignia Fire TVs. So I always find this fascinating because they kind of like compete, in the TV space. One has Prime, the other has TV Plus. Drew a blank there for a minute. Yeah, and they were beefing pretty hard. Like you couldn't buy an Apple TV in the Amazon store for a long time, but they did settle their differences, and it seems like Apple has bypassed its standard 30% App Store fee so that you could do in-app purchases for the Prime Video app. And so maybe this is all just part of this like partnership or agreement, but I think it's really cool that you can now just control your Amazon Fire TV with HomeKit and AirPlay 2. That makes things so simple.
Yeah, for sure. I also will note these are just the 2020. I assume this would also roll over to the 2021 models, but
I would definitely think so.
But it says it's now available on the 2020 4K Ultra HD and for both the Toshiba and Insignia TVs. Yeah.
I still struggle like with the whole idea of a smart TV. We barely use the functionality of it. I think we mostly just use the on-off power functionality. Occasionally, like the CEC, like the HDMI signals don't work, and like they don't, like you turn on the Apple TV, but then the signal doesn't seem to be picked up by the TV, so it doesn't turn on. So we've like created a scene where we'll say like TV time, and it'll make sure that it turns on the TV, sets the lighting, all that stuff. But if the TV's already on, it just does nothing. And it seems like since we got the 4K, the newer 4K Apple TV with the new silvery remote, like that problem has gone away for us. So I don't know. I mean, I struggle with HomeKit TVs.
Yeah.
I guess with Arc, like eArc, maybe it plays a role, but I don't know.
Yeah. I guess one thing I could see with this is if you're like using one of these TVs and then you have a receiver that doesn't support AirPlay 2 and then you're using eArc, so you're basically just passing that AirPlay 2 to your speakers. Yeah. Potentially. Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah. I guess maybe like a lot of them, like if you get the Sonos, it's gonna work anyway, right? It's got AirPlay 2, so I guess some of the other ones, but a lot of the other ones nowadays, like the sound bars at least, that you would probably want to use eArc for, are starting to support
AirPlay
2 directly. So this is interesting. I definitely like AirPlay 2 because you can like stream the video content, and that's kind of cool as well. Yeah. Well, that's all we had for this week. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in, watching, listening. We will be back next week with more podcast smart home content for Apple. And we are also tinkering around with a project that had us very frustrated this weekend.
Yes.
A little bit of HomeKit off-roading. We're definitely like, it's not just an off-the-shelf product. We're trying to use Homebridge and a bunch of other like Raspberry Pi stuff to get this thing working. But I think it'll be good when we get it done.
Yeah.
If we get it done.
If we get it done.
But when that video drops, we'll definitely let you know. And thanks again. If you're on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe, bell to get notified. And if you're on a podcast platform, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll always get our latest content, which comes out every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Talk to you next time.